So I'm with Raquel Pennington, who goes by Rocky, recently fought at UFC 273. She's fought some legends like the likes of Holly Holmes, Mata Ferry, Jessica Andrade, Miesha Tate, and Amanda Nunes. My first question for you is, you fought already once this year. Anything else on the horizon? You planning any more fights this year?
Yeah, I would love to already have fought yesterday, but that last fight at 273 within the first, the first 47 seconds of the fight, I ended up messing up. I actually badly dislocated my finger and tore all the ligaments. Cracking her the way that I did throughout a 15-minute fight, I did some pretty significant damage, and then had surgery April 22nd. So I'm kind of just on recovery right now. I'm getting really impatient. I'm ready to get back in there. I think besides my finger getting busted and hitting with it, the only thing I came out of that fight with was a fat lip. So otherwise I was healthy. But yeah, I mean, as soon as this heals and I can get back on the grind, I want to get back in there, finish the year off solid. My ultimate goal is to get a world title shot. So hopefully with this little bit of setback, maybe beginning of 2023.
Okay, excellent. Now you mentioned the damage, and I guess you've been in some wars, put it that way. What was the worst post-fight for you? What was the fight where after the fight you were like, the recovery was tough, the facial damage was rough? Which was the worst one for you?
Honestly, when I fought Amanda, and that was just because in the fight, I came off a 18-month layoff. We were originally supposed to fight December. In October, I ended up sustaining a leg injury that I barely avoided amputation on. I had extreme nerve damage, recovering from 3 major surgeries, and then finally getting back in the gym, and then that injury happening, like, mentally and emotionally, I was just over it. I wanted to be back at it. UFC, they were calling and they were like, hey, you're going to be good for February. You're going to be good for March, April. And it was just like, I felt really pressured. And honestly, I was kind of pressuring myself as an individual. And so when I ended up fighting Amanda, she kicked my leg in the first round, like the first minute of the first round. And I actually fell. And I was just like, it took everything I had to get back up because she kicked me in the exact spot that I broke my leg. And It honestly felt like my leg was broke all over again. Like, I've fought in fights, clearly my last fight with injuries. On the Ultimate Fighter, I had a broken hand, I had a fractured forearm, and like, things have never like phased me. Like, I can work through them. But the nerve damage was a different kind of pain. And, that entire fight, like, I was just in defense mode. I couldn't focus on anything. I just felt the excruciating pain going up into my hip. And it was just like, it was different. And so, I wasn't focused on being a fighter at that point, trying to win a fight. I was like in survival mode, trying to understand what was going on in there. And so that fight, like, that recovery was really, really hard. For one, it was just like, it was frustrating. It was the biggest fight of my career at that point. It was for the world title. And then on top of that, like, just to have that setback with the injury and like it being nowhere near ready, and then the frustrations that came with like pushing myself to get there, that one was hard on me mentally, physically, and emotionally.
You mentioned injuries. I don't think enough of the casual fans, especially fans who were not former athletes in any sport, because most athletes from any sport will tell you that injuries are a factor and you actually have to perform with injuries. Talk about that. You go into most fights, are you injury free or not?
No, you can probably talk to 95% of the athletes, and a lot of them are not going to be injury free. I mean, being an athlete, like, you're putting your body through the ringer, and then being in a sport like MMA, I mean, it's so brutal and taxing on the body that it's almost impossible to feel 100%. But I mean, we have heart of warriors, and we just sit here and we do what we do, and you get used to it and you push through. But injuries play a massive part, and it's just about if we can push through them or not, how severe they are. And there's a bunch of different things that go behind it. That's why I always use that iceberg effect, like, people see success, they see the top of the iceberg, but they don't see all the stuff underneath. And that comes with injuries and all the weight cut and the different things that are behind the scenes that nobody gets to see. There's a lot of struggle there.
Is that how you got your name Rocky? Where did the name Rocky come from? Where did that?
No, actually, my name didn't develop anywhere near fighting. I think people just assume because the iconic Rocky, but no, it actually stemmed from high school in volleyball. My volleyball coach at the time, like, my name is like Raquel, if you pronounce it, but R-A. And she would always mix it up and call me Raquel. Well, one day I messed up a drill in volleyball practice, and she was frustrated and she was trying to yell at me, and she kept stuttering rock. So then everybody started calling me Rock. And then at some point it just, like, in one of the games they were chanting and they started chanting Rocky, and then it just kind of stuck. So growing up, everybody called me Rock or Rocky. And when I got into fighting, they were like, do you have a ring nickname? And I was just like, well, my nickname's Rocky, so we'll just stick with it.
That was perfect. That was
Yeah.
like perfect nickname. Now talk about high school, because you were a multi-sport athlete and something happened in high school that sidetracked you. You had scholarship offers, honor society, the whole nine. Share with us your high school background, your story.
Yeah, huge in athletics, huge in academics. Worked my butt off for all kinds of athletic scholarships, academic scholarships, and then I ended up breaking my back snowboarding. Um, I wish it was some crazy cool story too, like while I'm out there on the slope. We just got done playing in terrain park, grinding on all the rails, doing jumps, all kinds of cool stuff. And we were actually just leaving to go do some normal runs for the day. And I was fixing my glove and came across a sheet of ice and the edge of my board hooked. And yeah, it just like kind of changed everything from there. So, but back then, like, I really didn't understand it. Like, I was frustrated, and it was another one of those setbacks. And, you have your mind and your eyes set on something for so long that when things kind of change, it's, it's weird for anybody. Change is hard. And, but then it brought this lifestyle up. I mean, I never in a million years thought I always wanted to be a professional basketball player. I never thought I would be a professional fighter. And I remember the day that I was going through rehab, and I was at the gym lifting with my mom for the evening, and we were working out. And the first team I started with, they were training in a little yoga studio in the back of the gym, and they had the little puzzle mats that were like half-inch thick. And
Yep.
that day, and they were just slamming each other all over the place. So I made the joke to my mom that I was going to do that just to get going. And, I think she just like wanted me to get going and feeling like myself again. So she kind of was just like, yeah, you should try it. And I went in and talked to the coach, went in the next day for my first training session ever, which happened to be sparring. So I just got fed to the wolves right away. But I actually fell in love with the sport, and here I am 13 years later.
So you made a unique positive out of a negative situation, right? You made the best out of it.
Absolutely. I tell everybody, there's positive in every situation, no matter how bad it seems. Like, that little bit of positive sometimes is that needle in the haystack. But if you can find it, like, run with it, and things always work out. Life has a way.
Now, you were on The Ultimate Fighter back in the day where it was Team Rousey versus Team Tate. What was that like? And do you still watch the show at all?
Yeah, I'm actually watching the current season. I'm 2 weeks behind though right now. It was a really like unique experience. It was definitely a turning point in my journey. And it was just kind of one of those things to where I you get taken out of your normal life and you get locked into this house. You don't get books, you don't get TV, you don't get music, you don't get your phone, nothing. Like, you have no choice but to interact with people. And when I went onto the show, I didn't know anybody on there. And so it was just like, you're around all these different athletes. And, the really cool parts is like learning different athletes, seeing the way everybody works. Basically, you're living your dream. All you have to focus on is eating, sleeping, and training, and then fighting. But it's really tough. It really is. It takes you out of your comfort zone. And it really made me like have to grow as a person and as an athlete. And, it gets really tough when you sit here and you cut weight a certain way, or you have a certain amount of weight to cut, and you have to walk around and be ready because you don't know when they're going to call you. And then on top of that, you have athletes that everybody's body's different. And it's like Christmas every day. You write on a list what you want, and you wake up the next morning and everybody's stuff is in the kitchen, and there's food and temptations and a lot of things. So you learn a different level of discipline and all kinds of stuff. And it was really weird because I remember my first fight onto The Ultimate Fighter against Jessamine Duke. We won fight of the season, but we were fighting on a Monday at like 1 p.m. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, this is weird. Like, my family's at work. My mom has no clue I'm about to walk into the octagon right now. And like, it was just the weirdest thing. And then on top of that, like, you have to hype yourself up, no music, no nothing. So it's just, and you're trusting a different set of coaches who are athletes themselves. And it was actually really cool because now that COVID hit, and like with the struggle of that and everything, like, obviously the Apex fights started happening, and it was really cool to see UFC like still give us the opportunity to fight and still give the world entertainment. But being back at the Apex, like, brought those memories back. It feels just like that. Like, it's a quiet arena, and now they're allowing people into it. But I mean, that would pretty much be like Dana and them production and everybody's sitting there. So it's kind of like, I feel like all the athletes who are fighting at the Apex right now are kind of getting somewhat of that experience.
Yeah, it's so much like that. I'm glad you mentioned that. I've recently started binging some of the old seasons of Tough, and I thought the same exact thing. I said to myself, wow, if we didn't have COVID, then many of these athletes wouldn't even know what it's like there. And it's so much like that. It's just like the show.
It is. It is.
Now, JJ Aldrich is fighting this weekend. I looked back at your Tapology. You fought her as an amateur many, many years ago, 11 years ago to be exact. Do you remember anything about that fight? And how do you think the fight works out this weekend with her and Aaron Blanchfield?
Yeah, I remember, I think back at that time, she was like Colorado's #1 something or another. And like, she was really hyped up, just a young girl. And I remember we were getting ready to fight. And in that fight, like, back then, like, everybody considers me this brawler, and nobody has really seen, I mean, there's submissions here and there in the UFC, but like, I love the ground game. And so I remember, kind of just getting that submission on JJ, and I got a triangle on her, and just kind of like a mounted triangle. So but yeah, I mean, it was cool, because then after that, like, it was just like, oh, knock the chip off your shoulder is how I felt with it all, and just that competitiveness. And then we actually became training partners, and like, we've helped each other out ever since then. So it's really cool to see the relationships that are built throughout all this, whether you compete or against each other, or like become teammates or whatever. But I'm excited for JJ this weekend. Like, JJ has a way of, like, she's very patient. Before she used to be like super kickboxing, like a different kind of stand-up fighter, would really let go. And now it's like, she's evolved, great wrestling background, jiu-jitsu, like, she's really heavy on the ground. There's a lot to her, and it's fun to train with her. I do think that Erin is, like, she's tough, man. She when she fought Miranda, like, Miranda's not any chump out there. Like, she's strong herself, and training with her every day. And to see Erin, like, honestly, like, was just tossing her around. It seemed like she was like a rag doll at one point. Just her takedown, her wrestling, and she earned a lot of my respect at that point. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. JJ does have, like I said, I mean, she has this patience to her, where she brings out a technique, and she does exactly what she needs to do to win. And some people get frustrated because they're like, oh, she's not exciting and this, that, or another, but it's about the W. And so,
That's right.
I think if JJ is just herself, she really focuses on, like, if she goes to the ground, I'm not worried about it. Wrestling, like, I think they'll go back and forth with wrestling. I think maybe Erin will have a notch above her on that, just from what I was seeing. But I think stand-up, like, JJ has that all day. So I'm excited for her. Of course, I'm rooting for her. I think she'll get the W. So we'll see.
Well, you guys are both from Colorado, and I was doing a profile breakdown on JJ Aldrich this week for her upcoming fight. And I did some research into, like, her background. Man, she came from some humble beginnings. I'm sure you know that. And it's hard not to just root for someone like that. She's winning the fight of life. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. JJ is awesome.
Now, you fought on UFC 273 with your girl, Tecia Torres. So you guys are both in the same card, and you guys are partners. You're engaged. What is that dynamic like? Is it more stressful? Is it less stressful? You guys are both going to the weight cut together. You're on the same card together. What is that dynamic like? Take us behind the curtain as much as you can.
I think it's awesome. You talk to Tecia, and she wants to go stir crazy when we're fighting on the same card. I've tried to convince her multiple times since we've been there to fight on the same card. And the first card that we fought on as being a couple was in 2020 when COVID hit. And then before that, I mean, I met Tecia. I was already assigned to Invicta, and we met back in 2012, and she was making her pro debut and stuff. And then the last fight we fought on was her second fight against Rose, and I was fighting Betch Correa in Tampa, Florida. And then now this last one, like, I told Tecia after the COVID fight, I was like, we should fight on another card together. She was like, absolutely not. It's not happening. Like, it just stresses her out. And that fight, like, I think worked out well for her because she fought first. And so she was able to get like her emotions out of the way, and then she can like worry about my fight next. And then this time around, it was kind of sprung up on her last minute just because I took the fight on like, I think total a 12-day notice.
That's right. They notice.
So she was just like, "You're fighting the same night as me." I was like, "Yep, you better get over it." And so, you know, the coaches like, it stresses her out a little bit and stuff and whatnot. I think she just gets to the nerves. Like I get the nerves for her too, but I wholeheartedly believe in her, and I just think it's fun and it makes it easy. The weight cut, no, absolutely not. We have our own rooms. She needs to stay away from me. Like Tecia cuts, I think a total of like 4 pounds by the time she's at fight week.
Oh, that's it. That's it.
Well, granted, for her body, she's super lean.
Okay,
so like
that's true. That's true.
But yeah, that is it. And so she annoys me though, because she's eating like candy throughout fight week, and like
Are you serious?
I have to really focus, and you know, I drop like serious weight. And so our coaches, I remember she was like, "Oh, I want to make a video. We're cutting weight together." And like she had this idea that we were going to be cutting weight together. And no. Like coaches drug her stuff to her workout room, and she walks in, she's not cutting together. And it was like, "No, do you want to like survive another night? Like I need you away." So, but I mean, overall, like it's just a fun dynamic having us both at fight week. She does her own thing. She has her own schedule. I have my own schedule, and then we all just link up as a team and do things. And it kind of works out because like there's certain drills that we could do with each other, and we both just kind of get those emotions out, and just understanding how it feels during fight week with the emotions as is. Like we could talk to each other, and it works out because like there's times that like we're like on an off schedule with our emotions. So like she'll have her emotions and I'm calm, so we can talk, and then I'll have my emotions and she's calm and we can talk, and then we just hang out and watch our movies. But we do have like separate rooms for fight week. Like she has to go to her room. We do not stay together. Like it's very separate because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a job for both of us, you know?
Yeah, and I heard some rumors about that. Some people said on social media, you guys like maybe travel separately or you stay separately. I think you made a good point there. It is a business trip, and you don't want to confuse that with like a vacation. You don't want to confuse it as like a honeymoon. You have business to take care of. You got to stay focused.
Absolutely. You know, I think a lot of people get confused just because they believe everything that's on social media. And if you're doing anything opposite these days, it's like, oh, they broke up. Oh, they did this. Oh, they did that. And, you know, we have to, I mean, at the end of the day, if you have your average couple, you have a couple who goes, one has a job here, the other one has a job here. They're at their 9 to 5 and they come home for the evening and they might have their evenings together. The thing with Tecia and I is like literally like our home life, our gym life, everything is together. Like we work together, we freaking eat together, we sleep together, like it's everything. And it becomes a lot. So like we do need a balance. And even in the gym, like there is a balance of like we'll be on opposite training schedules. Like we'll do the pro classes together, but then like she'll go to the gym like maybe in the afternoon and I'll go to the gym in the morning. So that way we like kind of are crossing each other's paths, and it just kind of helps us keep the spark and everything and not get annoyed with each other and frustrated of spending time together.
You're being 100% honest. I've been married for 18 years, my wife and I, and we do a lot together. And we have 2 kids, and but we do have to find space. If you don't, you're gonna go crazy. You go crazy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. I am definitely a person of space. Like I love my me time. So like right now today, like if I'm being all honest, I like haven't been feeling well the past couple of days. I had a little stomach bug going on, and Tisha's been awesome. She's been taking care of me, but today I woke up like on edge. And so Tisha was like, I'm out of here. So she's in the library right now, like finding books, which she considers her adult candy store. And I'm home minding my own business. But like we do have to find a balance, whether it's we travel alone and go visit our families on our own at points or do whatever. And that's important, it's super important.
Now, you guys have been engaged for a while. Any wedding plans? Any time in the near future you got to go through the actual motions of going through a ceremony?
So we started trying back in 2020. We started planning it, and then COVID hit and kind of just ruined everything. And then it's just been one thing after another ever since then. So it just feels like no time to like sit down. Like, and Tecia and I have talked about it, and honestly, like we already feel married. We both do want a wedding, but like it's not important for us to like go and have one right now and do everything. We obviously like started taking other steps in life as far as like egg retrieval, and we want a family and different things. So I don't know. We might have kids before we end up having a marriage, but at the end of the day, like I said, I mean, for me at this point, like marriage is everything, but in the big picture, it's just a piece of paper because in my heart, I already feel married. So, um, eventually when maybe she's not in fight camp or I'm not in fight camp, like we'll find the time. But, right now, I mean, we're just like living our dream and making the best of each day. And honestly, like I went September, December, and April, and she had a lot of family stuff going on and spent a lot of time up in Massachusetts with her family for a couple months and wasn't even home. And then she ended up going in fight camp. So it just seems like life don't give us that chance right now. And I know people are like, oh, things that are important, you make time for it. But like our entire life is important. Like we have a really cool lifestyle. And so it's just, we go with the flow of things, but it'll eventually happen. We actually were having the conversation yesterday.
Well, you guys are in your fight prime years too. It's important
Yeah.
that you can, make the most of this, make as much money as you can, fulfill your potential. My next question for you relates to that. How much longer for you? You're not anywhere near the end. I get that. You're doing, you're 10 years now into it as a professional. Do you have your sights set on a certain maybe age or a certain amount more fights that you want to, take part in before you hang it up?
Well, it's kind of crazy because I remember when I first started this, I was like, and then also too, like, I mean, things have evolved so much. So just when I was in my 20s, like to think about fighting to 35 and being in this kind of sport or an athlete in general, like that was old, for an athlete. But now like technology is so different, recovery, sports medicine, like I mean, it's insane how far things have come. And honestly, like, I mean, I'm 33 and I feel like I just hit my prime. Like I feel better than I've ever felt. And
That's
so,
great.
I said back then, I was like, oh, I'll fight till I'm like 32. And then after that, like do everything else that life has to offer. And, I mean, shoot, I just hit my prime at 32 and I'm freaking on a roll again. And so I was like, all right, maybe like 35. But then if you think about it, like we fight once or twice a year. And so it's kind of hard to put an actual age on it. But my ultimate goal is I want to get another world title shot. I want to win the world title and I want to defend the belt once or twice and prove that I'm champion. And then I'm done after that.
Some simple goals, something light.
Absolutely. No
I,
big deal.
I love it. You were a former Invicta fighter. What did it do for your career? And do you still watch it? Do you still support it?
Yeah, absolutely. Shannon, who started everything, like I will forever be grateful for her. And I think it's amazing what she's done for women's MMA. And then, yeah, we still watch it when it comes on and stuff. And it's cool to see the different girls who are coming up and everything. And, I think overall it's just awesome because, I mean, MMA has always been a male dominant sport. And finally there was a home for women. And it was just like that promotion was all about us and really helped to get us places. And the cool part when I started there, I mean, I went and supported my teammate at number 1. And I believe I fought on the second one. And then like just in the first few, and now they're at like 30 something or something like that. What
Yeah.
was the last 30?
Last one was 47, I believe. Believe that
40.
or not. Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh. I can't keep up. That's like all these fight nights and everything else. Like I can't
Yes.
keep up, but yeah, so it's like really cool to see. And, for me, like I had a multi-fight contract with them and then they offered the Ultimate Fighter. And that was the first time that women had the opportunity to get into the UFC. And I remember having that conversation with Shannon and she was just like, like, absolutely. Like you have a contract here, but like the whole point of this is to give you guys a foundation, to give you guys a home. And if you have the opportunity to get even bigger, that's all I want for you girls. And she's like, so go and give it everything that you have. If it doesn't work out for you, you always have a home, which I think is absolutely amazing. And so that's what Invicta did for me. It really like helped to kick things off. It was a place that I started making more money at and like having more exposure and stuff. And then all of a sudden got the opportunity to go to the Ultimate Fighter. And then now here I am with UFC, but we've all kept in touch with everything. And it's just, it's neat. Like everybody I feel like should support that.
She did an interview on, I believe, Ariel Hawani's show last week, and she talked about this dynamic of setting fighters on, helping fighters like yourself. And you could just tell by the way she speaks that it's genuine. She cares so much about the athletes.
So passionate about it, which I absolutely love because, being in any sport, being in anything in life, like you come across people who it's not genuine half of the time. And that is one thing I learned when I became a professional athlete in MMA. Like, there's a lot of snakes around, and it gets pretty dirty. And one thing is Shannon has always been that genuine person. Like, she is so genuine, she's so passionate about what she does, and it's just, those are the people I love.
Do you enjoy being a role model? What kind of message do you want to send to younger fighters?
Absolutely. Just the fact that, like, I have a platform, and my passion has taken me this far and whatnot, and completely changed my life. Like, I coach high school gymnastics, and I'm constantly around young athletes, and even at the gym, just working with other athletes and stuff. But I always tell people, first and foremost, with whatever you're doing, like, you have to have fun. That keeps the passion lit. And if you're not having fun, then it doesn't matter. And another thing is always staying true to yourself. If you believe in something, like, even if the people closest to you don't believe in you, it's your life. I remember when I first started my career, like, my dad, out of all people, and then my family, I come from a super like, close-knit family, and I'm extremely family oriented, and their support means everything. But when I started this career, like, they were just super disappointed, and they would get frustrated seeing me come home. Like, I'm a female, I'm coming home with bruises, and they just never understood why. And now everybody's super supportive. But I remember at the beginning, like, they were just like, you're not going to go anywhere with this. They didn't believe in my dreams. And it's super important to believe in your own dreams and to push through. And like I said, stay true to you and have fun each and every step of the way. And I always tell people, reach for the stars, because anything truly is possible. Like, sky really is the limit. And so, it's simple. It's that simple. Like, the recipe's that simple. Like, you got to have fun, and surround yourself with the people who are supportive of you, and your loved ones will come around, or whatever.
Well, you said something there I didn't know. Gymnastics. You mentioned that as a sport. I have to share with you that I was a gymnast all throughout my younger years, and I went to the University of Nebraska on a full scholarship. Competed there for 4 years. Junior national team. Sniffed at the 1996 Olympic team. So gymnastics was very much in my background. That's awesome. You coach gymnastics.
Yes. I think I always tell people, as an athlete, I think gymnastics or ballet are awesome foundations for being an athlete of any sport. Gymnastics, any sport brings discipline, but gymnastics, like, it brings a different level that can sometimes be detrimental to athletes, just because of the way that coaches can push you. But, it is one hell of a sport. And so, my mom's been a gymnastics coach for 37 years now. I grew up with gymnastics, and then I've been coaching high school gymnastics now for 5, maybe 6 years now.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, before we wrap it up here, I want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to anyone you want to give a shout out to, whether that's partners, family, friends, any kind of sponsors, any products you're pushing. I'll let you close it out here. Go ahead, Raquel.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it was good talking with you. So thanks for having me on. And then, Boyke's, I actually got their hat on right now. They're one of my awesome sponsors. Keep me supplied with some awesome air-dried beef. If you have not tried the air-dried, like, you really should check it out. It's, if you're a beef jerky lover, but it's just like,
I am. I'm going to give it a try. I'll give it a try.
But, aside all that, just to my fans, the true fans out there, I appreciate all their love and support all these years, and my family, my teammates, and my awesome coaching staff. Like, I wouldn't be where I'm at with everybody's love and support. So,
well, thank you so much for your time today. We'll make sure we stay in touch with you.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Raquel. Take care.
All right. We'll talk to you.
Peace.
How are you going to call me Tecia?
Did I call you Tecia?
Yeah.
Did I call you Tecia?
Yeah.
No, I'm still recording, which is great, because I can include this as like our post-fight mess-up video. When did I call you Tecia?
Go back and rewatch it. I was like, Tecia.
That as at the end when you just, okay, because I couldn't hear you. I saw you sort of respond in some way. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You guys look totally different, by the way. My bad.